A 97% win rate is what this ultimate 4-3-3 offers. If you do enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like, drop a little subscription and turn on that notification bell so you never miss an incredible tactic like this again. And let's get into breaking down this tactic. So it is going to be a generic tactic today, meaning we are going to be testing with 6 teams. And the first team is going to be PSG over in the French League, where we won the quadruple. We won the Champions League against Real Madrid, we won the French League against everybody, we won the French Cup against Marseille, and the Trophy de Champion against FC Nantes. We scored 144 league goals, conceded only 17, and picked up a total of 0 red cards. In terms of the league table, it was not even a competition, really. I mean, we had 101 points, FC Lens coming in with 84, so nowhere near us realistically. In terms of the team stats, we are going to be featuring in quite a few of them, that being 6 of them, averaging at 2.66 points per game, most goals at 144, obviously getting on for double of RC Lens, over 1,000 shots, not per game, across the season, fewest shots coming in at 184, fewest conceded coming in at 17, and the most clean sheets coming in at a very good 25. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at around 3.79 goals per game, conceded at 0.45, a pass completion of 86.92, and over 26.6 shots per game. Now, the sort of V3 of this tactic focused more on the defensive side of the game, so it does score a little less than the V2, but it is a lot more of a balanced system that works with every single team. So we have gone slightly more defensive, hence why we're not topping really 4 goals a game. But this stat here is a lot more improved. So trust me, you need to give this a whirl. We then go over to Forest Green, a team predicted past 20th in the division, all the way down here, right in the red. And we have come out and won Sky Bet League 1 and also won the Papa John's Trophy against the Chelsea Under-21 team. Now, it's a bit of a funny season as we scored 131 goals. We conceded 12, but picked up 6 red cards. Now, this is definitely just an off-season with these players because all the other saves were not like that, so do not be worried about that. But I had to keep this in because it is quite funny. I don't know how we have picked up 6, but in terms of the league table anyway, we have absolutely dominated it. Obviously, Ipswich Town, my local team, also get an automatic promotion, which is always good to see, obviously as they did in real life. But realistically, this is a fantastic season for Forest Green, and this is what this tactic really does. Now, I know most 4-3s can do this, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, very good formations in the game, but this little twist that I've got on it, especially one of the midfield roles, really cements this back lineup as well, and it works really, really well. In terms of the team stats, we are going to feature again in the same 6, which is quite good to see because it shows we're consistent. Most points per game at 2.87, most goals at 131, coming in, at quite a few more than Plymouth there in second place. Most shots for at 1,062, fewest shots coming in at 253, fewest conceded coming in at 12, and also the most clean sheets coming in at 36, which is quite a lot. It's 12 more than Lincoln, obviously coming in at not very close, quite a far away second place. In terms of the data hub though, we are going to go ahead and have a little look. We're looking at 2.85 goals per game, a very good defensive play here coming in at 0.26, a pass completion here coming in at 86.93, and shots per game coming in at 23.09. So I'm going to be honest, we really did sacrifice the goals per game in this one for that defensive record, and I did play a lot of this season using that defensive variant because, to be honest, I was quite nervous how the season was going to go. So this entire season, going to make it very clear, was tested using the defensive variant. That's the only season where we used a variant for the entire season. But it just shows that the variants are also worth getting as well. But let's go over to the next test. And that next test is going to be with Feyenoord, obviously over in the Dutch League. And we had quite a good season. Not the best in the Europa League, but we did match up against Inter Milan. Quite a powerful team in that competition. We did win the Dutch League and also the Dutch Cup against Ajax. We scored 103 goals, conceded only 10, and picked up, that is right, just the 1 red card. In terms of the league table, it's going to be 94 points going in our favour. Ajax coming in second place, not really much competition, coming in with 78 points, and you've got PSV coming in with 71, so quite a comfortable lead, to be honest. Not much competition at all. And yes, Feyenoord are a giant in this division. I mean, I say a giant, they're one of like 3 teams that I've seen win it on this game. I've seen Ajax win it, I've seen PSV win it, so they're sort of like, they're not on mid-table by any means, but they're in the running. They're not a clear dominant favourite, but they're definitely a good shout. In terms of the team stats, we are going to be featuring again in the same 6, being most points per game at 2.76, most goals at 103, fewest shots coming in at 174, most shots at 842. We've also got the fewest conceded coming in at 10, 11 better than PSV, who still had a great defensive season, and the most clean sheets coming in as well at a very impressive 25. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at a very good 3.03 goals per game, conceded at 0.29, a pass completion of 86.52, and shots per game coming in at 24.76. So a very good season there, slightly better on the attacker element of the game as well compared to Forest Green, but obviously they are a much better team with a very, very good back line as well. But let's go on to the fourth test. We then go over to the Turkish division and test with Galatasaray. And we actually had a very impressive season here too, winning the Turkish Super League and also the Turkish Cup, making it a double winning season, if that's even a thing, a double winning season. We scored 134 league goals, conceded only 23, and actually picked up 0 red cards. Just showing you that Forest Green season was clearly a season where some of the players lost their heads. It might be because the defensive variant is a little bit more dropped off, so maybe more challenges were getting flown in. I'm not entirely sure, but it didn't even affect the results. But in terms of the league table, 104 points compared to Besiktas coming in with 86, and Fenerbahce actually find themselves in 4th place with 73 points, so quite a comfortable league win. And in terms of the team stats, we've got a feature actually in this occasion in 7 of them, which is quite nice. Most points per game at 2.89, nearly going invincible to be honest with you. Most goals at 134, most shots at 986, fewest shots at 176, most possession coming in at 61, 2% over Besiktas, and a very close 2nd place. Fewest conceded coming in at 23, and the most clean sheets also coming in at 19, which is very closely tied with obviously 2nd place here. In terms of the data hub though, we are going to go ahead and have a little look. We're looking at 3.72 goals per game, which is one of the better ones we have seen. A little bit more on the conceded mark over in this division. Obviously, a few more competitive teams over here. In terms of the tackle win ratio, 76%, 87% pass completion, and over 27 shots a game. So we definitely favoured the attacking side of this team a lot more than the defensive side. But still, I say that we can't really complain at all. It's still way under a goal a game, and so far, it's nice to see that every team is easily maintaining that. And we then go over to Zurich over in the Swiss League, and we had quite a good season again. Not the best display in European competitions, as you know, the Champions League didn't go great, neither did the Europa League, but in terms of the actual Swiss Super League, we won that and also won the Swiss Cup against Basel. And do you know what? Again, a very impressive season in terms of the stats. 120 goals, only 29 conceded, and again, picking up the 1 red card, which to be honest, I'd say is a rough average. 1 red card a season, even 2, isn't that bad across an entire season, because that is why we have depth and prepare these things, because sometimes it does happen. In terms of the team stats, so we are going to feature again in 7 of them, showing you that this tactic can also offer possession in certain leagues as well. Most points per game at a very, very impressive 2.64. Most goals at 120. Fewest shots against at 274. Most shots at 781. Most possession coming in at 60. Fewest conceded at 29. And the most clean sheets coming in at 21. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at 3.33, all the threes coming out for goals per game, 0.81 conceded in terms of the goals per game, which I believe is going to be the highest that we actually do have from this part of the actual save that we tested with. In terms of the shots, a little bit lower, but still over 21 per game. 87.35% pass completion, and a tackle win ratio of 74.84. And this is always a good point now, because if I go back onto this and show you the team stats, it just shows you that the tactics perform so differently with different teams. We're now talking about a tactic that actually is putting up really good possession numbers, and it doesn't do it in every league. And that comes down to the players you sign, the players you have in your team, and obviously what the players offer in terms of attributes. And that is why whenever you download a tactic from myself or anybody else, you have to be willing to tweak it to suit your needs, because sometimes even I download a tactic for the rebuilds that I do, and you have to tweak it, because sometimes you've got a player that can't play a Volante, can't play a deep line playmaker. You have to switch it up. And it's just very interesting to see how different the leagues are to what your team actually can do. Obviously, the past 2 tests we've done, we've dominated possession. And the last test is going to be from the Starboy on the cover. That is going to be Vinicius Junior's club, and that is going to be a quadruple winning season over at Real Madrid, winning the Champions League against Manchester City, winning the Super Cup against Frankfurt, winning the Spanish First Division against everyone, and also the Spanish Super Cup against Villarreal. In terms of the actual league table, again, incredibly dominant. Barcelona dropping down to 3rd place. Atletico Madrid actually find themselves pushed out of the top 4 into 5th place, as Villarreal do snap that spot. In terms of the league table, we're going to be seeing 123 league goals, conceding only 15 and picking up 2 red cards, which again isn't actually too bad. In terms of the team stats, we are going to be featuring in 6 of them on this occasion. Fewest conceded coming in at 15, the most clean sheets coming in at 26, 6 more than Sevilla. We're also going to have the most shots for at 992, the fewest shots coming in again at 197, most goals at 123, and also the most points coming in at 2.71. In terms of possession, not a bad season either, really, coming in at 60%, obviously 1% less than Barcelona and also Real Sociedad. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at 3.24 goals per game, a tackle win ratio of 74.46, a pass completion of 87.27, over 26 shots a game, which is very impressive, especially in this league, and a conceded at 0.39. And the first game we're going to watch is going to be the Spanish Cup final against Villarreal, in which is a game which I remember actually playing because Benzema got 4 goals, and the goals he got were very good, but they were quite fevered to him. As you do, obviously that is what you want to do to Karim Benzema. You want to give him the best chance of scoring possible. As Rodrigo plays through Benzema, funny enough again here, he's going to go alone, cuts inside into Valverde, who gets his first goal of the game, who absolutely lumps it into the bottom left corner. And one thing which I love about this system is it does focus on getting the strikers the goals, but also the wide players can also chip in, and they are so influential in this system, as Rodrigo there pretty much puts it on the plate for Benzema, who nutmegs Pepe Reina, the poor guy. But the wide players in this system, guys, are such a key part of it. As you can imagine, it is a 4-3-3, but just in this system especially, I noticed how influential they were, as it is now going to be Modric who plays a wonderful ball over the top into Valverde, who's unselfish, across to Benzema, and you can see there, centralised all the way out wide, instantly back inside, and we are creating chances for fun against a Villarreal team that, let's not forget, had a very good season. Rodrigo again back inside into Karim Benzema on the volley into the bottom right corner in a dominant 5-0 win. It's going to be another 5-0 now in the French Cup final against Marseille, as it is going to be Mendes down the left-hand side, just inside of 9 minutes there, who drives an absolutely incredible ball right fist across the floor into Verratti, who is in acres of space, and that was actually quite a good way of showing you how many players you can expect to see in the box. And how about that for a finish, by the way, as we go more direct there into Danilo, sort of bounces off Mbappe, and he Panenkas it. Didn't even really need to do that, but absolutely incredible from Mbappe. 2-0 up inside of 12 minutes, and from this point onwards, things just got ugly as Neymar does what he does. That's not down to the tactic, that is down to individual quality. But this is actually a very good side of the tactic as well. The set pieces coming in from Neymar into Marquinhos, and at this point in the game, I think the game was pretty much written off. But if it wasn't, Neymar puts a great ball in, and how about that? A bit of a set-piece routine there, a great way of playing. A very comfortable 2-0 win here, as we are actually going to see us lead this 2-0 against Ajax, obviously in the Dutch Cup final as well, as we're going to take the lead here with a great bit of play here, cutting in from the right and absolutely thumping it into the top right-hand side of the goal inside of 6 minutes. And the second goal actually comes quite late into the game, 80 minutes roughly played, and it's just going to be an absolute wonder hit. And to be honest, the keeper done quite well, as you're going to see him make 2 saves and the defence still can't sort it out. Poor guy. It would be rude not to show some highlights from the Forest Green season, since we had such a good season with them. And it is going to be a very lively start here, a bit more direct with this team. As I did say, this is going to be the defensive variant, so I thought that is why I would show you. And it is definitely more direct, as Bakayoko puts us 1-0 up there inside of, I forgot what the minute actually was there. But no, this is a very good way of playing. It's just a little bit more compact, a little bit more sort of counter-attacking and direct, and a lot more like that. Get the ball into the box and sort of see what happens. And it works really well with not only small sort of teams like Forest Green, obviously a team which are predicted to even possibly go down, but it works well with the big teams as well. As you can see there, we actually do put on quite a good amount of pressure there from Pert Harris, and plays it through to Bakayoko, who puts it into the bottom left-hand side of the goal. Couple more goals here to come, though. A bit of a set-piece routine here, as it's quite lucky how it ends up in the box. And Bakayoko takes advantage of it. The defence falls asleep. He outjumps everyone. And that is going to be 4-0 up. One more goal to come, though, which does come roughly around the 72nd minute. Savage goes all the way over the top. That is definitely the more sort of direct approach to the game. And Bakayoko finishes off. So, we are now going to break down the tactic for you guys, but if you are enjoying today's video, please do consider leaving a like, dropping a subscription, and hitting that notification bell. This way you're never going to miss an upload or live stream from me again. And also drop a comment right now on a manager or formation you want to see recreated, because, yeah, we're going to make it happen. But let's go ahead and break down this amazing 4-3-3. So, this is going to be my ultimate 4-3-3 V3, a rhyme which I didn't even mean to happen, but it's been requested a lot, and I thought, do you know what? let's make it happen. And that is exactly what we have done. I want to take a quick second to thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are going to be either new or existing Patreon members. We actually have hit over 100 Patreon members. So again, thank you guys so much for that. If you don't know what Patreon is, you can check it out in the description below. It's a way of supporting your favorite creators. And also, I offer some great perks back, including access to all 3 of these tactic files, early release on the videos, early tactic release, priority in your tactic and rebuild requests, one-on-one tactic help, and also access to exclusive giveaways only on Patreon, which are going to include a couple of copies of next year's FM, so be sure to check it out. Link is in the description. But let's go ahead and talk about this formation. So it's going to be built around the custom pressing style, as you probably can imagine. The other one was very similar to that as well. Going over to what is going to be the mentality, it's going to be set to positive. In possession, we have got fairly wide, pass into space, overlap left, overlap right, play out of defense, a shorter passing directness, a higher tempo, be more expressive, and also mixed crosses. Now, this one here I do want to talk about because it's very dependent on the striker you have. If you've got an absolute unit up top, someone that possibly isn't the quickest, and gets a lot of his goals from aerial threats, then you can easily have this obviously on floated, vice versa. If you had a very small striker, you could have it simply on low. But what I like about mixed is, you saw there, the likes of Bakayoko can jump, leap for a goal, and also when the balls get played in the box too, for example, Verratti, they were driven on the floor. So it is nice to have that mixture, but that is completely up to you. That's the one thing which you can really change depending on your team. In terms of transition, we have got counter press, counter, because again, we want to be putting some pressure on, and when we have got the ball, we want to hit the counter. You can see here, the players that are going to be getting involved, we are going to be a real threat. In terms of goalkeeper, distribute quickly, distribute anywhere across the back line to the fullbacks or the centre-backs, and while doing that, take short goal kicks. Out of possession, we've opted with the standard line because this does change for the attacking variant. As rule of thumb, as rule of like a standard formation, we want to keep it as standard because it's quite balanced, it's quite normal, and this tactic already is quite attacking. So if you are going into most of your games like it, you don't really want to go in with a higher line. In terms of the high press, we've got the high press line of engagement. Much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, because that's one thing I've really noticed in this match engine especially. It's really edgy when it comes to putting pressure on the back line and that goalkeeper. They make so many mistakes. And while doing this, also get stuck in, which again, you can take off if you are picking up too many bookings. We only had that one shock season, but we picked up 6, don't get me wrong, but other than that, every other season was completely fine. In terms of the actual player roles, we are going to go from, we'll go from striker to keeper today. We're going to start things off with an advanced forward on shoot more often and tackle harder. That tackle harder just helps him get stuck in, gets him more involved into the game, which obviously is what we want to be doing. On the left-hand side, we've got an inside forward on attack, on shoot more often and sit narrower. And on the right-hand side, it's going to be exactly the same. Essentially, these guys are going to be sort of positioned around here, which is exactly what we want them to do, because then the fullbacks can overlap and sort of opt as a second winger option. And these guys also scored quite a few goals as well, so it is handy to have them on that shoot more often. If for some reason you've got a winger that is really bad at shooting and you feel like he is wasting so many chances, it's not worth it, simply untick shoot more often. In terms of the midfield, we've got an advanced playmaker on attack, on cross aim centre, and get further forwards. By far the most attacking midfield player that we do have in this system. We then have a box-to-box on the left-hand side on support, on shoot less often, get further forwards, and also tackle harder. And the one role in the team which really cements this back line is going to be a halfback on defend, on take more risks, and also shoot less often and tackle harder. So that is going to be 2 players actually on tackle harder in this midfield. So again, that is something you can tweak, but it's something you see a lot in my formations now, because I like that aggressive side to the game. They get stuck in, and that's exactly what I want to be seeing from my midfield players. In terms of the wing-backs, we've got a wing-back on support on the left, on support, on cross from the byline, cross-aim centre, and also stay wider. As I said, these wingers are going to sort of be in this position here, hence why the winger can obviously go out here and just sort of go up the field and create several chances, as we saw in the highlights. On the right-hand side, we've got a wing-back on support, on cross from deep, cross-aim centre, and also stay wider. The 2 in the middle, we've got a ball-playing defender on the right, on defend, on dribble less, and on the left, we've got exactly the same, matching up these 2 at the back. And in goal, we've got a sweeper keeper on support on the default instructions. So that's going to be the sort of normal version broken down. It's a very, very good tactic, guys. Honestly, by far the best 4-3-3 I've done to current date. Now, when I get asked, you know, when I do a manager recreation, like, for example, if it's one which is slightly more like a Mourinho tactic, and people are like, is this better than that? Is this better than that? they play so differently, these formations, guys, so it's hard to actually give you an answer. For example, if you download a Mourinho tactic, you're not going to be expecting to play high press and possession-based football. But if you are playing with this, you can expect that. So it's very vice versa. No tactic is the same. Even a couple of player role changes can change the entire way a team can play in the game. So I did my best to answer those questions, but they are very tricky to answer. But going over to the attack and variant right now, let's go ahead and have a little look. So here we are then. So this is going to be the attack and variant, and to be honest, the only change that comes in terms of the actual player roles is going to be this deep lying playmaker gets brought in on support, on tackle harder, just to be a little bit more progressive up the field. And other than that, guys, it stays exactly the same in terms of the player roles, because this tactic is attacking. It's naturally an attacking tactic. That is what the 4-3-3 is. So we don't want to go too overkill to the point where you sacrifice trying to chase a game to writing off yourself. So that is always going to be done in terms of the player roles. The mentality does actually go up to attacking. In possession, it's going to be looking pretty much exactly the same. We have obviously still got the maxed out tempo, run out defense, be more expressive, you know, really given everything possible to try and win this game. In transition, as you can imagine, this is going to remain the same, obviously distributing quickly. We've actually gone with distribute to the playmakers, because when you're chasing a game, you're not really fussed how you get the ball up the field. You just want to try and get it done. So distributing to these playmakers here is essentially going to cut out this passage of play here. We've got 3 players in midfield, so it's got to get to one of them, and then they can instantly hit that team and put a little bit of pressure on them. Out of possession, we've got the high defensive line. Again, I wouldn't recommend going into loads of games like this, but if you are chasing a game or playing against a team which you should comfortably be beating, then you can play like this because you can afford to do it. The high press and line of engagement, much more often, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, get stuck in, and also step up more is going to be your final instruction for the attack and variant. Now, going over to the defensive variant, as you can see right now, there are going to be quite a few, well, I say quite a few. The midfield's the change, really. The front 3 remain the same because we still want to have an attack and outlet, because you can easily go way too defensive to the point where you've got nothing to offer and you'll just defend and wave after wave after wave of attack. But the first change does come in with a Roman playmaker in midfield on dribble less and tackle harder. A centre mid comes in on defend, on take fewer risks, shoot less often, and also tackle harder. And a halfback remains on the same instructions, but obviously the main change is going to be these 2 here. So I said the halfback comes in, so I got confused with the attack and variant for a second there. But this is going to be a very defensive midfield. I am aware of that, but that's what it's meant to be, guys, because essentially this is now about just obviously we're not overcommitting ourselves. We've got this front 3, which is still very attacking. The wing backs aren't as attacking either. As you can see right now, they've got the same instructions. If we go into the in possession tab, you're going to see what changes there very shortly. But in terms of the mentality, we're going to have it on balanced, because again, cautious is okay, and I would say switch to that in the final sort of 5 to 10 minutes. But again, you can find yourself being way too defensive and actually affecting yourself more than benefiting yourself. In terms of in possession, we've got standard, pass into space. We've removed the overlap and runs because we don't want to overcommit. Still playing out from the back, but on this occasion, we've sort of changed how we play completely, because we've now gone for a slightly lower tempo, so we're not as intense, and we are going more direct with the pass and directness, because again, we're going to soak up the ball. When we do win it back, we've got to counter and hit them with a long ball sort of style. Time wasting sector frequently, and also play for set pieces. In transition, we've got counter press, counter, slow pace down when we've actually got possession, and still on this occasion going to be playing it to the back line once we've got that ball with the keeper, because we can really mould the game and decide how long we want to spend on the ball. And out of possession, we've got a standard line and mid-block line of engagement, so a lot more defensively minded this one. Still got a very active trigger presser much more often, and still applying pressure to the goalkeeper. And that is going to be 3 very, very incredible variants of the ultimate 4-3-3 broken down for your entertainment. If you guys have enjoyed today's video, please do consider leaving a like, dropping a subscription on the channel, and hitting the notification bell. This way you're never going to miss an upload from me again. And if you do want to get involved on the channel, you can comment literally whatever you like, whether that be a rebuild suggestion or a tactic idea. I'm going to do my best to get them done. This week there's going to be 6 uploads, so any support is appreciated. We're absolutely smashing it right now, and your guys' support means the world. So let's go ahead and carry on grinding, and I'll see you boys in the next video.